Good morning. I'd like to welcome those in the chamber this morning as well as those online. Today is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. This is the Board of Commissioners of Weber County, our regular scheduled commission meeting. With me this morning is Commissioner Sharon Bolos to my left, Commissioner Jim Harvey to my right. I'll be conducting Commissioner Gage Froh. We're going to start this morning with a Pledge of Allegiance given by Tammy Adelot, our invocation, Craig Brandt, and our Commissioner Thought of the Day will be Commissioner Jim Harvey. We'll go to that point. Thank you.
Our Father in heaven, we thank thee for this wonderful day. We're grateful to gather as servants of this county and pray that thy Spirit will be here today to guide the discussions and decisions that are made. We're grateful for the citizens of this county and of the surrounding area. We're grateful for their willingness to serve, their willingness to be involved, and pray that desire will spread among the communities and that the participation will increase. Father, we're thankful for the rain and the snow melt that we've had. We're grateful for the way in which it melted, that the flooding was minimal and that the damage was minimal. We thank thee for the replenishing of this land. And we are grateful for those who serve to protect it and ask that thy Spirit will be upon them, that they can be safe as they do so. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Amen. Commissioner Harvey.
You know, I had a really good meeting this morning with our Culture, Parks, and Recreation Director, Marty Smith, and Jennifer Graham, the Assistant Director, and we talked about a lot of things. And as we got talking about the variety of different things that happen around in our facilities, you know, Weber County has an inordinate amount or of facilities compared to other counties. We have our Upper Valley Parks, our North Fork Park and Memorial Parks up there that do very well, that cater to the people. And then we have our shooting complex out on Rule and White Boulevard that does very, very well. They welcome people with pistol and rifle out there all year round, especially in this time of the year. It starts to ramp up and it gets busier and busier. But we also, you know, the other things that we take pride of, and I'll likely maybe miss one here, is we have the Observatory Park. And for those who have been around a little while, the Observatory Park is home to the cyclocross, high school cyclocross championships most years. They go, and that was all built on top of a landfill. But we have our new archery center, and they are just loaded with events. The popularity of that archery park has just blossomed much beyond what we could ever have imagined. It's just really, really been great, and in fact, it's got the attention of people like the Eastons and Hoyt, who manufacture, one of the top manufacturers of archery gears, some of the top shooters in the world, Olympians. Out there. It's just been really good. But when we talk about that Observatory Park on the old landfill, the Archery Center, certainly Fort Buenaventura that held the World Championships for disc golf just before COVID. We have our world-class ice sheet, one of the most popular and has had the least drain on public funds facility since the Olympics. Just a phenomenal facility up there. They've done very, very well. Our Perry's Egyptian Theater, our historic Perry's Egyptian Theater, which will be celebrating a milestone anniversary. What's the date on that, Cassie?
Next year, 2024, 100 years.
Yeah, 100 years. Do we have the exact date on that yet?
Well, the Grand Gala will be January 26th.
The Grand Gala, January 26, 2024, 100-year anniversary.
Wow.
Perry's Egyptian Theater, where my dad used to go down there and for 15 cents, you could get a hamburger and then go to the show, the picture show back in the early 1940s. And then we have our Ogden Eccles Conference Center, our OECC, which brings in just a phenomenal amount of tourism that helps between the Perrys and the OECC. They bring in all this tourism for downtown Ogden. It really helps revitalize or just gives a heartbeat to the downtown. And then, of course, we have our Golden Spike Event Center, which, again, during COVID proved that because of the events that they figured out to have safely out there, instead of running, for instance, a barrel race in 3 hours, they would run a barrel race in 2 days. But they might say, hey, look, you're going to run at 2:40 in the morning, and the next person you're going to run at 2:50 in the morning, and they'd run around the clock instead of running one after another, and which still brought people in. But we look at that, we look at Observatory Park, the Archery Center, Fort Buenaventura, the Ice Sheet, Perry's Egyptian Theater, Ogden Eccles Conference Center, and the Golden Spike Event Center. Those 7 facilities are all located within the Ogden city limit. All of those are located within the Ogden city limit. And really, you know, as we talk about Weber County and Ogden being an old, historic, not just a railroad hub center, but a crown jewel for northern Utah. But the county, when you talk about partnerships, well, we don't just say it, we show it by having these 7 of the most popular tourist generating facilities right here in Ogden City. And so I just wanted to point out and remind the folks today that how, when you talk about the county's willingness to really build up and strengthen a city, boy, this county, I think, really shows a good record. And maybe that's just part of the reason that Weber County's in the top 1% and 2% from our bonding ratings and our all the different things we're doing very well here. So, commissioners, my thought of the day is just to keep our the heart and soul of Ogden with our culture, parks, and recreation strong and viable. And I appreciate Marty, you and Jennifer, and your work you do in that behalf. Thank you.
Great. And I just want to say, Commissioner Harvey, we appreciate your leadership. That is your portfolio. Those 7 venues really, I think, top any other county in this state. If you go around for the amount of population we have in this county and what we offer to our citizens is absolutely fantastic. And you deserve a word of appreciation and praise for what you do. It's a great, and
Pass that to the team.
And especially for
Pass here too, yeah.
leadership there. Thank you very much. All right, let's now go to our agenda item, which is public comments. Anyone today, this morning, that would like to come forward, now is your time to address the commission. We'd ask that you spend no more than 3 minutes and adjust those items or talk about those items on the agenda. Seeing no one coming forward. Anyone online? Daniel, you want to make you're on the agenda shortly.
So would that be when we hit that agenda item?
Yeah. So, we're going to have you come up when we do that agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. With that, commissioners, let's go to our consent items. Well, let's first go to presentations, which would be the emergency management
See him here.
flood. Do you have anybody here this morning to? We just wanted to give special recognition to our emergency management team for what they did during the flood control. And I don't see them in the audience, but Commissioner Bolos, this is in your portfolio. So I'm going to turn the time over to you.
Sure, I'll just take 1 minute and express my appreciation. And one thing that really impressed me through the whole flood season was Lisa Gosline. Every time I met with her, she would always say, just give my phone number to anybody. And she took calls at all hours of the night. Anytime there was a problem in any city in the county or an unincorporated county, was willing to help the cities, cover the slack that maybe they hadn't planned for, and just did an amazing job. And she and Eli both together just I was amazed by their accessibility and grateful for that, so.
Yeah, and we're going to give them some recognition later today, but, you know, they're just part of this whole team that was put together during the flood, and the communication was the key as we communicated with all the other agencies, and I wanted to give a special shout out to them as well. So thank you very much. Commissioner Harvey, anything else?
No, I've said here at times recent, people in Weber County, when we knew that things were going to start being a challenge for the spring, back in January, December and January, and the amount of inches that we had on the backside of Ben Lomond and all across the top there, you know, when we talk about miracles of Utah, we talk a lot about, especially recently, we talk about the number of crickets and the seagulls coming in to rescue the Mormon pioneers. But the way the snow came off this year, I think, is nothing short of that same miracle. There could have been disastrous effects for all of Upper Weber County. And we're planned on disastrous effects, and it didn't happen. It worked out much better than we could have ever hoped. And so I sure appreciate our personnel and people there.
Absolutely, and I think as we went through that process, we understood that the communication and our team was very important, but Mother Nature, at the end of the day, had the ultimate decision, and boy, we benefited from her ability to control the runoff, and combined with everything else, we were very lucky. So
Very.
anyway, thank you for that. Let's go to consent items. Consent item G1, request for approval of warrants 8295 through 8377 and 477 268 through 477 438 and 274 in the amount of $2,722,170.52. 2, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $104,406.46. And for a summary of warrants and purchase orders, Ricky Hatch isn't here, but Jason Horn is in his place. Jason, you want to review those?
Yes, sir. Morning, Commissioners. So as far as the warrants are concerned, it was 255 warrants for approximately $2.7 million. 26% or $720,000 is the transfer station for disposal fees. 15% or $416,000 is the jail for nursing services, culinary, utilities. 14% or $370,000 is for ramp awards. I think the two biggest are Hooper and Ogden City. 10% or $263,000 is paramedic services, our contribution. 8% or $214,000 is Weber Human Services, that's also a monthly contribution. And 7% or $201,000 is Weber Housing Authority, and that's for housing payments. As far as the purchase orders are concerned, 10 POs for $104,000. 42% of which it's roughly $44,000 for property management, and that is new carpet in the basement. 34% or $36,000 specific to IT, software, some hardware, some renewals. 11% or $11,000 is the library. Again, there's software and some facility maintenance involved with that. And then the last is 10% or $10,000 is the Golden Spike Event Center. That's for livestock panels. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Commissioners?
Fine. So
I might just mention, if you look at those warrants, there was some discussion this morning about the transfer station. 26% of those warrants dealt with transportation. We were up transfer station. We were up about 200,000, I think it was, Jason, over year to date. And the reason for that, I just want to be very clear, is that we've had a lot of activity out of the transfer station in the way of the members of the public bringing in. This just is not commercial haulers. This is personal, family vehicles, et cetera, bringing that in. And we've really seen a huge increase in the use of that transfer station this last 2 to 3 months especially. The good news is that those disposal fees, that activity will be reflected in revenue in the coming months. So we'll see that offset with revenue, I would expect, in the next 30 to 60 days. Would that verify with what you've come up with, Jason? I know there were some questions on that.
Yeah, Exactly. There's definitely more waste, and then the last two items was just that there was an increase in transporting that waste further south, and that there was a small backlog in the trailers that were holding that waste. So that should all get cleared out if it hasn't already.
Yeah, we're starting to try to keep that floor clean. I had a meeting this morning every night, but just because of the increase in traffic, but we are looking at that in terms of some other options for that waste as well. So they do a great job out at the transfer station. With that, Commissioners, no other questions, comments? Let's go to our next consent items. Request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on June 20th, 2023. 5, request for approval of new business licenses. 6, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Derek Johnson, Idlewire, for dashboard advertisement space at the Weber County Ice Rink. 7, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Carson Foss, UTOG, for dashboard advertisement for the space at the Weber County Ice Rink. 8, request for approval of contract by and between Weber County and Global Mobile, LLC, to utilize Global Mobile's ballot cutting product as well as their party affiliation product. 9, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Republic Services for weekly trash removal of the Weber County ice sheet. That's our consent items. Commissioners, questions, comment? If not, I'd be ready for a motion.
Move to approve consent items G 1 through 9.
Okay, we have a motion
Second?
and a second. I'm going to place that motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Consent items G 1 through 9 are approved as written. Let's go to our action items, Commissioners. Action item H1, request for approval of a final reading of ordinance 2023-22 at the County Commissioners of Weber County, amending the Weber County fee ordinance. Commissioner, or Chief Aaron Perry, Commissioner Sharon Bolus, this is in your portfolio. Chief, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you.
Morning.
Just to recap what we talked about at the last meeting. So what we're trying to do with this fee ordinance is right now, the Bureau of Criminal Identification manages individual criminal histories. So if somebody wants to get a copy of their criminal history for work purposes or other interests, they can reach out to the Bureau of Criminal Identification to do it. The law allows us to enter into an agreement with them to be able to provide that service to individuals, so they don't have to drive down to Salt Lake. They can come to our office and for that convenience, request their criminal history directly from us. We provide it. This would be the last step in that process to create a fee to be able to charge that individual for the time incurred to run their criminal history for them. The fee that we're going to set, that we're asking to be set, is $15, which is the exact same fee that the state charges. It would just be, the purpose for us to do it is providing convenience for our citizens to be able to come to the sheriff's office in Weber County as opposed to going through BCI and Salt Lake.
Wow, I like that. Commissioner Bolus,
No comments. Are you ready for a motion?
I'm ready. Chief, do you have any additional comments or questions? Anything that you'd like to ask for? I'm ready for a motion then.
Move to adopt ordinance 2023-22.
We have a motion.
Second?
And we have a second. Roll call vote. Craig?
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-22. Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Ford?
Aye. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let's now go to our next action item, which is a request for approval of FY24 IDC grant agreement to continue prior funding as well as providing funds for salary and benefits for a new forensic social worker, Dr. Daniel Lancaster. Daniel, now's your time.
Thank you, Commissioners. I just am so eager, so I tried to jump up earlier, right? Get rolling. So this matter is in relation to the IDC fully funding 100% a forensic social worker to join my team. This grant refunds prior surpluses and then has allowed it so that there are no costs on the county. Point of note, a lot of times people wonder, why do we need LCSWs in the Public Defender Office? And my response to that is that the existence of social workers there, we get to operate sort of like white hats or triage nurses on a battlefield, right? We service everybody and their needs. We're able to shift the conversation to be one away from an adversarial system that is important, but instead to one of community building. And we have to be housed in the public defender office because it allows us to dig into a client's life, to access records, to figure out what's going on and what's driving their behavior without violating or risking any constitutional guarantees to defense. So with this social worker, it'll be good to have someone else to do my job if I get hit by a bus on the way to work one day so that the department can operate as it should. But additionally, we spend time screening individual defendants and placing them in evidence-based treatment needs, whether that is substance abuse related, psychiatrically related, developmental disabilities, and low IQ related. And we're able to sort of operate like a scalpel to get people exactly where they need to be, and as opposed to disrupting family lives and increasing costs and jamming up the courts more. We're there to say, hey, this person right here, we can connect them to services, it explains their behavior, and they are less likely to do it in the future. That is sort of the long and short of what I hope to do with another forensic social worker. They will primarily engage in assessments, evaluations, and continue to collaborate with the Sheriff's Office, with Weber Human Services, with our community treatment partners, et cetera. And I'm very happy to answer any questions that the Commission may have.
Thank you, Dr. Lancaster, for that explanation. Questions for Dr. Lancaster?
Fiscal note tied to this?
As far as I know, no. This would be, it's something that the IDC is carrying.
Thank you.
So this is grant money, and as we all know, the IDC, Indigent Defense Commission, we look very strongly for them for funding for our public defenders. We did recently have a board meeting I was involved with the public defenders, and heard some of the successes that Daniel's been able to accomplish, and very impressed with really where the direction of this is going. And really, it's looking something that we've had hoped to receive and get out of the public defenders, which is putting people in programs that they should be in programs rather than sit in jail. And for those that needed to be in jail, that's where they need to be. And I think this gives us, with the social workers, gives us the opportunity to at least have that evaluation. And that's really what the IDC was looking for as they funded these grants. And I'm actually looking forward to the opportunity to work with the IDC this coming legislative session to show the successes, use that as a success tool so that we can continue to receive funding rather than have it as a mandate, unfunded mandate from the state, that we know that sometimes that happens, and give us the opportunity to have the state participate in this. And really, I think this is really, and correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but one of the few counties in the state that have a program that we're able to offer through our public defenders.
Yeah, absolutely. For the past, since the 60s, the only county was Salt Lake County, and they are sort of ahead of the nation in that way.
Right.
And then we've got Utah County has a small forensic social work division, and now us.
Right.
Yeah.
So, very much needed. Okay, with that, any more questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion that we approve that IDC grant agreement as presented by Dr. Lancaster this morning.
Thank you.
Second?
And we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
Commissioners.
being with us. Let's now go to our next action item, request for approval of the final reading of ordinance 2023-23 of the County Commissioners of Weber County, amending certain fees in the Weber County Parks and Recreation Department facilities. Mariko is not here, but Cassie Bybee is. Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. I'm filling in for Mariko. She had another court date at the same time as this meeting and asked me if I would fill in for her. So this is your second reading on the ordinance fees. They're at the ice sheet. And these fees, they accurately reflect the revenue-generating areas of the facility, and she feels that increasing them are necessary for the sustainability of the ice sheet.
This is the second reading, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
Commissioner
you,
Harvey,
Cassie.
this is in your portfolio.
Appreciate you filling in for Ms. Rollins today. And Mr. Chair, if that is a request to make a motion, then I'm happy to do that.
Please do.
I'll make a motion that we approve that final reading of ordinance 2023-23.
Second?
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Craig?
Roll call vote for ordinance 2023-23. Commissioner Bolos?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye?
Sheriff Rohr?
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Cassie. Let's now go to request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Broken Heart Rodeo Company for rodeo entertainment and additional activities to be provided for the TCG WWR 2023 social event. This has to do with the TCG, which is a very prominent group that we have come into town.
Yes.
Cassie, you're up.
Thank you, Commissioners. So as you are aware, we have this conference that comes in, trade show that comes in each year, and then on the third day of their event, we throw a big social party. Last year, we were out at the archery park that you talked about, and it was a huge success. That we've been at Fort Buenaventura in the past. We've been to the Golden Spike. Previously in the past, we've been over to the amphitheater, so we rotate this and always theme a party for these attendees. There's about 600 people that attend, and this year we're going to do a rough stock rodeo for them out at Golden Spike. And so this is a contract with that Broken Heart Rodeo Company to bring in and really run that part of the event, the rodeo itself, for us.
Perfect. What's the dates on that? Do we know?
Yes, it's September, let's see. Let me look. I don't want to give you the wrong date. It's a Wednesday, but it's going to be, let's see. Sorry. That would be September 13th.
13th.
September 13th.
Great.
And it runs from 6 to 9 p.m., and we're doing it in the big arena inside. And there'll be a lot of different activities and things. We're quite excited. We've already even taken some of the TCG committee and some of their staff and walked the facility and looked at how we were going to set it up. So a lot of different activities for them to participate in, both in the hallways as well as participating in the rodeo itself. So lots of food. So put that on your calendar, September
We'll put it on.
13th. Yeah, 6 to 9. Come party.
Great event.
It'll be a great event. It really will. We like the partnership that we have with this committee, this facility. It's good.
Yeah, and it's great for the county, it's great for us.
Absolutely.
And it's proven to be very effective for TCG Group as well.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's the reason they keep coming back.
That's correct.
Because of your efforts, Cassie.
Yeah, that's
and
correct. We have a
what you
meeting
did.
with the committee just today at 1 p.m. We plan for this event all year, but
Perfect.
it's a huge event.
Congratulations. Commissioner Harvey, your portfolio.
Just these command performances that they do for people, especially these who come from other parts of the world, are very, very well received. It's amazing for them to see our Western culture, and they've seen some of it on YouTube videos or on TV, but most of them have never seen it live. And for me, it was almost as fun. No, that's not true. It's more fun watching the crowd than it is the rough stock rodeo, because it's the reaction.
It's interesting. Last year, we had a gentleman from Turkey that came up to me after the event and gave me a hug and said, "I've never experienced anything like this in my country, ever." He says, "We'll never experience anything like that." So we try to give them those experiences that they wouldn't have, and he's correct. They love that Western feel and things, and last year, like I said, we were out at the archery park. They loved that, and now we'll do a full rodeo for them. Well, rough stock rodeo.
Part, yeah.
That's great.
Really
Okay.
is, really is. So we're excited, and I really appreciate that Commissioner Frohr was willing to ride a Buffalo Inn as the entertainment, just to ride it around in a circle. So that's very, very good of you.
Well, I'm happy to do that, as long as you are willing to put the saddle on.
Yeah. I thought it was bareback. Okay.
No, it's a saddle.
All right.
All right, I'm ready for a motion whenever you are.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve this contract between the Weber County and Broken Heart.
Thank you. We have a motion.
Second?
And we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye, motion carries. Thanks again, Cassie.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you.
Let's go to our next agenda item, if we could. Request for approval of Mountainside Phase 2 PRUD subdivision consisting of 10 lots in the RE15 zone located approximately 4554 North, 7 Bridges Road in Eden, Utah. That's 84310, file number UVM 080922. Tammy Adelot, thank you for being here. You're up.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is just a little bit of history. Back in 2016, the CUP, or the conditional use permit, for this planned residential unit development was approved. Everything that has been proposed with this subdivision application does not deviate from that CUP approval. This is an extension of North Seven Bridges Road, and to kind of orient you, this development is located just a little bit north of Fairways Drive, in between Sheep Creek and Powder Mountain Road. It does consist of 10 lots. They have met all of planning's requirements. The Planning Commission has forwarded a unanimous recommendation of approval to the County Commission, and so staff would recommend approval of this, staff doesn't even recommend approval. Planning Commission recommends approval as outlined in your staff report, and based on the findings outlined in your staff report. Do you have any questions for me? This one's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tammy, for that. Questions for Tammy?
I don't have any.
Would you like a motion, Mr. Chair?
I'm ready as soon as Tammy's completed her presentation.
That's it. You have the same questions
All right.
that the Planning Commission
What-
had, so,
And it is unanimous from the Planning Commission.
yes, sir.
Good to see that.
I'd like to take the lead on this, even though it is in your portfolio, Mr. Chair,
Happy to see you do it.
and approve the PRUD, the two PRUD subdivision on Mountainside, Mountainside Phase 2 of the PRUD subdivision.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Tammy. Let's go to your next one, since you're going to stay there for a second, which is a request for approval of Parkside Phase 3 PRUD subdivision consisting of 16 lots in the RE15 zone located in approximately 4843 Howe Drive, Eden, Utah, 84310. Tammy, is this related to the one we just passed?
This is all part of the Bridges PRUD development. So this is Parkside Phase 3. This is the last of 3 phases in the Parkside PRUD, consisting of 16 lots located just south, actually, of Mountainside. Again, the Planning Commission unanimously forwarded a recommendation of approval, and you'll see those conditions outlined in the staff report. One thing I want to point out, with the Bridges PRUD, with this overall development, short-term rentals were approved as part of their conditional use permit, and so we've asked the developer to include that option on the final plat that gets recorded, just for ease of communication for future property owners and staff.
Right. So both of these areas we just talked about, short-term rentals are allowed
Correct.
under our current
Correct.
or revised ordinance.
Yes, they were approved with the original conditional use permit
Yep.
back in 2016.
Good to point out. Okay. Questions for Ms. Adelot?
No questions. With that, I'll move that we approve item H6 for that Parkside Phase 3.
Thank you for that. We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Aye, motion carries. Thanks again, Tammy. Let's now go to our next action item, which is request for approval of Taylor Landing Cluster Subdivision Phase 3, which consists of 34 lots in the A1 zone, located at approximately 4,000 west, 2,200 south, Ogden, Utah, 84401. Tammy, you're up again.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is, this Phase 3 is Phase 3 out of 5, so you'll be seeing Phases 4 and 5 coming before you in the next several months here. It does consist of 34 lots. The Planning Commission also, with this one, we've talked about water and sewer, Central Weber Sewer, Taylor West Weber Water. This development has been going on for the last 3 years, so we're trying to kind of get them through the finish line. Per our ordinance, they are required to record each phase within a year of one another, and they're just within that. So we're trying to get this one across the finish line and making sure it still meets all of the approvals from their preliminary approval. I will point out, with the Planning Commission recommendation, that they forwarded a recommendation of final approval that followed staff's recommendations, but they did add a 4th condition of approval. Some of the open space that's being platted with this phase of the cluster subdivision has some existing structures, and so the Planning Commission has asked that those be cleared off of the open space prior to the county issuing building permits for these. So I want to make sure that that is pointed out in your staff report. Do you have
Okay.
any questions for me?
So staff would recommend follow the directions of the planning
We have
commission.
no changes to the planning commission recommendation, correct?
Got it, okay. Questions, commissioners?
None by me, Mr. Chair.
So, Tammy, this is the one that we've dealt with this open space over the last period of time.
Correct.
So it looks like this will bring a resolution to the open space. We have an agreement with all the parties, the location of the open space, the number of acres, everything dealing with the open space, other than what you brought up would be the buildings,
Correct.
the structures.
Correct. And when this final plat records, when this phase records, we do record an open space preservation plan in detail with that, so that going forward, when we are issuing land use permits, when the county is issuing further permits for this, or there are any questions from future buyers, they know exactly what should be occurring in that open space and how that should look.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay, we have a representative from Taylor Landing. Would you like, since you're here, did you want to make a comment?
That'd be great, actually.
Okay. Just tell us who you are.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Marcia Stokes, and I'm a representative from Heritage Land Development.
Okay.
Regarding the buildings on the open space, those are actually already done. The demo was done when I saw Planning Commission last year. That we knew that was one of their conditions, so that work has actually already been completed, and that open space land is cleared and basically kind of graded out. It's right where kind of the Ropoletto Farms used to be. Those are the buildings that it was, and so those have all been cleared and demoed, and everything looks crazy. I grew up out there to look out there and not see those buildings, so that has been completed, and I just wanted you guys to be aware of that.
Great, thank you for that information.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, Tammy, I think you're through with your presentation. All right, with that, commissioners, I'll bring it back for action.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve that Taylor Landing Cluster Subdivision Phase 3, which was file number LVT 010622.
Thank you very much.
Second.
And a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Tammy, for that presentation. Let's now go to commissioner comments. Now is your opportunity to express anything currently on your mind. Commissioner Bolos.
Sure, I'll just take 1 minute to let you know about it. An unfortunate incident last night in West Haven. There was a fatal motorcycle crash, and I received 2 phone calls, one from a friend and one from my daughter, in a 2-hour span, and it just made me really appreciative of the time and dedication that our deputies put into an incident like that. And the first phone call I got was actually 45 minutes after the incident, so they were there for probably well over 3 hours investigating, and they just see things that we'll never have to see. And I always appreciate their work, but when something like that happens, it just makes me appreciate them even more. So I just wanted to.
That was a fatal crash?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. Terrible. Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Harvey?
No.
And none for me, so I'd entertain a final motion.
To adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. See you next week. Well, actually,
No, we'll see you tonight.
see you tonight. For those listening online that are interested, and you want to come back at 6, we'll be here.
In the upstairs, like, the conference room.
Excuse me, conference room. This room's booked.